Welcome to the complete story of Clair Obscur, Expedition 33, the game that paints its world with as much sorrow as it does beauty. A world where each year the countdown to death continues, just like in real life, just with a bit more pizzazz. It's a game we can't recommend highly enough, so if you're here, we hope you're ready to relive the story with us in our classic complete story way. A story of grief and defiance, as those who refuse to simply wait for the end dare instead to stand up and fight, believing that tomorrow comes. It's a story of fragile hope and of finding purpose even when the world feels like a canvas that's already been signed in red. But anyway, I'm Peter from Birds of Play, and in this video I hope you'll subscribe to our expedition as we revisit the complete story of Clair Obscur, Expedition 33. It's going to be a long journey from here to the end, but I hope you'll stay with us every step of the way. In the city of Lumière, the crooked shape of the Eiffel Tower rises in the distance, looming over a surreal landscape of ruins and floating landmasses in a fractured world. From the harbor, the number 34 glows ominously on a distant monolith, framed by the broken remains of a victory arch. From a rooftop greenhouse, a well-dressed man throws rocks in the direction of the monolith, a feeble yet defiant gesture. His name is Gustave, and he's soon joined by Maelle, one of the city's many orphans. Maelle tells him that if he's planning on giving someone a flower, he should probably do it before it withers and dies. Gustave asks if she meant the flower or Sophie, his former lover who doesn't have long left. The whole exchange a dark bit of humor Sophie herself would appreciate. As Gustave continues to throw rocks, Maelle asks if he's ever tried using his other arm, pointing to the artificial limb he now carries. She jokes that hitting the paintress directly would be more useful, but Gustave replies that soon they'll get to do a lot more than throw rocks. Maelle worries they'll meet the same fate as the expeditions before them, but Gustave reminds her that those who came before gave their lives to lay the path for them. Gustave picks up the flower and wonders what he can possibly say to Sophie after 4 years apart, now on the day of her gommage, now that she is turning 33. Whatever he chooses to do, Maelle encourages him to be direct as they don't have much time before the sun sets. Prologue. Lumière. Gustave and Maelle rush across the rooftops down to the streets of Lumière, finding Sophie waiting near a red and white tree. She's surrounded by friends, a garland of red and white flowers draped around her neck, a sign to all that today is her gommage. When she sees Gustave, she welcomes him with open arms and gladly accepts the flowers he's brought, adding it to her garland. They try to express all the things they've missed and all the apologies left unspoken, but in the end it's clear enough how they feel about each other. Sophie tells Gustave she never blamed him for wanting to believe he could change the world. Stubborn people change the world, she says, and he is the most stubborn person she knows. Together they join the gommage festivities at the plaza as they walk down to the harbor. Along the way, people stop to say their goodbyes to Sophie, showing just how deeply her presence has been felt. Even strangers recognize the day of her gommage from the flowers around her neck. And while there's celebration in the air, there's a quiet sorrow beneath it all. At the harbor, the people of Lumière gather, including Gustave's apprentices, who bring him his expedition uniform. Sophie had helped prepare it in secret, but the children can't help but spill the beans. Gustave is grateful, knowing he'll carry a part of Sophie with him as he goes on his mission. Gustave puts on the uniform, letting Sophie see him wear it at least once. The number 33, proudly displayed on the armband on his shoulder. As the moment arrives, they take each other's hand and walk to the water's edge. Together they look out across the ocean to where the number 34 glows on the distant monolith. And then she awakens, the paintress, towering and silent. She erases the number 34, replacing it with the number 33, as if counting down the years. One by one, the people gathered at the harbor begin to dissolve into red and white flower petals, carried away on the wind, leaving only those aged 32 and younger behind. Gustave reminds Sophie that he's there with her, and as she disappears, they never look away from each other. Not until she closes her eyes for the last time, leaving Gustave alone with his grief and his determination. That night, the expeditioners gather to prepare for what's ahead. Lucien and Catherine offer Gustave a drink, because mourning, they say, is best done with friends. Meanwhile, Maelle stands at the harbor's edge, looking out at the monolith's new number, her mind firmly set on the path ahead. During the farewell festivities, Gustave shares words with old friends and fellow expeditioners, raising a toast to Sophie with Ciel, an expeditioner with a penchant for seeing the bright side of things. He's impressed by his fellow expeditioner Lune, who has calculated the first expedition's landing spot, and Lucien assures Gustave that he believes in his invention, the Lumière converter. As Gustave speaks with Maelle, he reminds her that while the rest of them only have 1 year left, she still has 9 good years before her gommage. But Maelle has already devoted herself to her path. Lumière has never felt like home, and she would rather stay by Gustave's side. Gustave's apprentices gift him with a journal, asking him to write down everything so they can learn about his adventures once he returns. His sister, the city's chief counselor, arrives to try one last time to convince him to stay, insisting that his talents would be better spent in Lumière. But even as she disagrees with him, she delivers a rousing speech, written by Gustave himself, telling the expeditioners that they are the Sword of Lumière, dedicating the last year of their lives for the sake of the world. As they sail into the unknown, she promises them that Lumière stands with them, and that they will be the ones to finally bring down the paintress, that cursed figure waiting at the end of the world. Tomorrow comes, she says, thanks to you, Expedition 33. Across the sea, the expedition lands under the cover of darkness, stepping onto a beach of black sand. But they are not alone. From the shadows, an old man with a cane approaches, a man far too old to have survived the gommage. Without a word and without warning, he attacks with terrifying speed, cutting down the expeditioners one after another with brutal ease. Gustave falls to the ground, and Lucien rushes to help him up, only to be killed moments later by monstrous hands. Gustave looks on in horror, stunned before darkness overtakes him. Act 1. Gustave. As Gustave regains consciousness, he finds himself alone in an unfamiliar place. The world around him feels empty and hostile. And as he tries to find his bearings, he is attacked by Nevrons, twisted monsters that roam this strange land. He fights them off as best he can, but when the battle is over, he is faced with a harrowing sight. The bodies of his friends, massacred and turned to stone, their last moments frozen forever. For a moment, the weight of it all becomes too much. Gustave raises his gun to his temple, ready to join them. But before he can pull the trigger, Lune appears, grabbing his arm and stopping him. She tells them they need each other if they're going to survive. It seems they're the only ones left. But even so, they must remember their oath. When one falls, we continue. Together they face another attack, using Gustave's Lumière converter in real combat for the first time. As they fight, they learn that the device can transform fallen Nevrons into chroma, a type of energy. Hoping to find other survivors, they head toward the indigo tree, Along the way, they encounter a strange Nevron that doesn't attack, despite the remains of a previous expedition being scattered at its feet. In a journal left behind Expedition 81, Gustave and Lune learn that the previous team had managed to communicate with the creature, a discovery that leaves Lune in awe. Gustave notes how the dead there don't disappear into petals as they do in Lumière, but instead turn to stone, their chroma remaining with them. Lune recalls that some people did vanish on the beach, but Gustave reminds her that those deaths weren't caused by Nevrons. Whoever that man was, he was something else entirely. It suggests there's something about the way Nevrons kill that changes the chroma within the dead. Then the Nevron speaks. It says it was painted by the paintress, and asks them to bring it more light. Gustave isn't convinced that's a good idea, but it's clear now that everything they thought they knew about Nevrons may not be the whole truth. In the distance they spot flares, signs of possible survivors. They rush toward them, but they're too late. Their friend Leo is killed right in front of them by another monster. Together they take down the creature, so that at the very least they don't have to share in Leo's fate. When they reach the indigo tree, there are no survivors waiting for them. Instead, they find a message, marked with their expedition number, saying that Maelle is in a hut in the coral fields. Lune is cautious. The message isn't signed, and it could be a trap. But the possibility that Maelle is still alive is enough for Gustave to push aside any doubt. Lune reminds him that protocol demands they wait at the designated location, but Gustave tells her he will leave with or without her. As they make camp on the way to the corals, Gustave apologizes for his rashness, and Lune confesses that she feels responsible for the massacre on the beach, as it was her decision to land there. She warns Gustave that the message could be a ploy from the white-haired man they encountered, but Gustave argues that someone with that kind of power wouldn't need to play tricks. Gustave insists he's going to bring Maelle home, but Lune reminds him of their mission, of their promise. When one falls, we continue. It's not if one of them falls, she says, it's when. Not all of them will make it, but as long as one of them is left standing, their fight isn't over. She asks Gustave if he still believes in their mission, that the future of Lumière is worth more than any single life. Gustave hesitates, the weight of his grief and doubt heavy on him. But at last he answers that he hopes he still believes it, as the number 33 glows ominously in the distance. As they reach the corals, an area known as the Flying Waters, they step into a world that feels as if it's submerged, the light shifting and bending around them like ripples on the ocean's surface. There they find the wreckage of Expedition 68, whose boat was torn from the sea by a storm and dropped there, stranded in this strange place. Deeper within, they discover a small, mysterious hut. When they open the door, they find themselves inside a vast mansion, its grand halls stretching far beyond what the tiny hut could ever contain. Most of the rooms are locked, but in one of them they find Maelle alive. Gustave rushes to her and embraces her, overwhelmed with relief. Maelle isn't entirely sure how she ended up at the manor, but explains that she was helped by a man whose face looks as if it's been shattered like a broken statue. He is the curator, and Lune notes that the chroma surrounding him feels different from the Nevrons they've encountered. The curator has been training Maelle, preparing her for what's to come, and before they leave, he offers them one final lesson. Then he departs for the camp ahead of them. As they leave the manor, unsure of where to go next, a small creature bursts through a nearby cliffside, its hair standing on end like the bristles of a paintbrush. Maelle seems to recognize it immediately, telling Gustave that they can trade with him. The creature is a gestural named Noko, and Lune is amazed to see him. She wasn't even certain gestrals truly existed, and the sight of one leaves her eager to learn more. Maelle mentions that Noko's village isn't far, but Gustave argues that they don't have time for detours. However, Lune points out that they still need to cross the ocean to reach the paintress, and for that they will need the gestral's help. On their way to the gestural village, they pass through a field where Gustave notices a single red flower swaying in the breeze. The sight of it reminds him of Sophie, and as he pauses to take it in, lost in memory, a Nevron suddenly attacks, fiercely protective of the flower. Gustave moves to finish it off, but Lune stops him, explaining that as long as they leave the flowers untouched, the Nevron will likely leave them alone. Maelle, caught in a strange trance, reaches out to the Nevron, but before her hand can touch it, the creature leaps away. Gustave asks what came over her, and Maelle admits the moment felt somehow oddly familiar, though she can't explain why. Lune urges Gustave to be less quick to pull the trigger, reminding him that if they kill everything they encounter, they may miss out on truths this world has yet to reveal. That night, Maelle dreams of fire. She sees a man she doesn't know, feels the heat around her, and falls to her knees, screaming toward the monolith as the paintress sits beneath the imposing number 33, hugging her knees. When she wakes, she and Gustave talk quietly about how the expedition has not been what they expected. Maelle admits that she thought she was used to losing people, but the massacre on the beach was different. Compared to the ruthless violence of the man they encountered there, the Gommage almost seems merciful in its predictability, as the people of Lumière go about quietly accepting death. But in the end, they both amount to the same thing. Gustave looks Maelle in the eyes and makes her promise that if death comes for her, she will run. If she sees the man from the beach again, she has to run, no matter what. Maelle agrees, but only on one condition, that Gustave promises he will do the same. Later that night, Gustave finds Lune playing her guitar by the campfire, soft notes echoing through the quiet. She's excited about visiting the gestural village, eager for the knowledge it might hold. In many ways, she says, this is a war of information, and that there is still so much they don't understand. Where the paintress came from, why she does what she does, who she truly is. After nearly 70 years, all of it remains a mystery. Lune glances up, noting that Gustave seems better than before. Gustave nods, saying the initial shock has passed. Now he will honor the memory of those they lost by pressing on. They both repeat the words they've learned for such times as these. Tomorrow comes. They travel on, reaching a red forest at the edge of gestural territory. There they encounter a young boy without a face, much like the curator. The boy doesn't know who he is or why he's there, but the sadness clinging to him is unmistakable. Deeper in the forest they come across the bodies of fallen Nevrons, wondering who could have taken down so many. Their question is answered when a gestural Sakapatate, a towering guardian, mistakes them for enemies and attacks. After a fierce battle, Maelle manages to calm the creature, convincing it to guide them to the village. Gustave can't help but note that Maelle seems to have a better way with gesturals than she does with most people, having seldom seen her so alive. Even with a gestural guide, they face one final test, the ultimate Sakapatate guarding the village gates. They defeat the guardian, and their gestural guide becomes ecstatic, declaring that Golgra, the greatest warrior among the gesturals alive or hibernating, will surely want to meet them. The gestural village is alive with color and chaos, each gestural more eccentric than the last. When they meet Golgra, the chef of the village, she recognizes them immediately as the warriors who defeated the Sakapatate. Having earned an audience with the village chef, Gustave and the others ask for help crossing the sea to reach the paintress. Golgra asks if they have their own boat, and they explain it was destroyed by a white-haired man during the attack on the beach. Hearing that they survived an encounter with him, Golgra's respect for them grows, as the village has also known his deadly fury. Since they have no boat, Golgra tells them, their best chance lies with Esquier. If they ask him nicely, she says, he might even take them across the water, though Esquier is as unpredictable as he is powerful. Lune is thrilled to learn that the legendary Esquier is real, just like the gesturals themselves. Golgra explains that Esquier lives nearby, but only the bravest are allowed to meet him, and for that they will need a password. Esquier is friendly, but he might accidentally eat them if they're not careful. To earn the password, they must win the Gestral's legendary tournament. This, Golgra says, is the Gestral way. In the Gestral arena, they face one powerful opponent after another, until only one challenger remains. To their surprise, it isn't another Gestral warrior, but Ciel, another member of their expedition. She had defeated Asakapatate on her own and earned the nickname The Stranger among the Gestrals, but now she's found her people again. The Gestrals still demand a final fight, so they oblige, battling Ciel in a no-holds-barred match. Victorious, they return to Golgra, who grants them the password, "Get out of my way." She tells them to shout it as loudly as they can when they approach Eskier's nest. That night at camp, Gustave shares a quiet moment with Ciel. They reminisce about the old days, working together on Aqua Farm 3, back when Gustave and Sophie were inseparable. Later, Maelle is shaken by a waking nightmare. She sees a girl in a broken mask, her face disfigured, as she stares at her without speaking. Suddenly, the white-haired man appears, calling the girl Alicia and telling her she should have stayed home. Alicia points to Maelle, and the man says he understands, claiming that it's Maelle's fault, even if she doesn't know it yet. Speaking directly to Maelle, the white-haired man tells her that by being here she's only making things worse for everyone. He warns her to take her friends and go home, where they can spend their final year in peace, telling her that this will be her only warning. Maelle manages to dispel the vision, but the fear it leaves behind clings to her. She tries to explain what she saw, but the words catch in her throat, the weight of the warning heavy on her shoulders. Heeding Golgra's instructions, Gustave shouts the password, "Get out of my way!" at the top of his lungs, outside Eskier's nest. A Gestral guardian standing watch just stares at him, a bit shaken by his rudeness. Gustave tries to explain that it's the password, but the guardian has never heard of it and simply shrugs, letting them pass. Inside the cavernous nest, Eskier is nowhere to be seen, until he suddenly comes crashing in through an opening in the mountain, landing with a massive splash in a pool of water. The legendary creature seems to recognize Ciel, asking if she's finally come to learn how to swim. Gustave explains that, in a way, that's why they have come, as they need Eskier's help to cross the sea. Eskier agrees, but on one condition. He needs Flory, one of his special rocks that helps him swim, but it has been stolen by his arch-nemesis, Francois, who lives next door. When they visit Francois, they find him grumpy and quick to scold Eskier for sending strangers to his home. Eskier insists they're nice humans, but Francois isn't moved by this revelation. A scuffle breaks out, and after losing, Francois finally parts with the rock. But as they return, Eskier realizes the rock isn't Flory at all. From next door, Francois mocks Eskier, claiming he never had Flory to begin with, and that the precious rock is still somewhere on the stone wave cliffs. Gustave asks if Eskier can help without the rock, but Eskier insists he needs it to carry them. He reminisces about how he used to soar across the skies with his best friend, Verso, back when he still had his rocks. That night, Maelle's nightmares return. She sees flashes of the monolith, a masked woman, the white-haired man, and a figure standing bloodied in the middle of a fire. Chasing away the fear, Maelle indulges in Gustave's old habit and starts throwing rocks, telling him it feels like the girl and the white-haired man knew her somehow, even if she can't explain how. She confesses that in Lumière, life never made sense, and now here, everything feels even more confusing. Gustave admits he feels the same, that the unknown makes them feel small and powerless. It helps to focus on what they do know, the people they care about and who care about them. That way, at least, they can be lost together. He tells Maelle that whenever she feels lost, she can always talk to him. As Maelle drifts off to sleep, the white-haired man and the masked woman watch from afar. The woman admits that she envies them, those who know not that they are not. Reaching the stone wall cliffs, they find the remains of Expedition 50, who once tried to cross the world using a massive wheel built in the image of a Ferris wheel. Suddenly, Esquier soars overhead, effortlessly obliterating a giant Nevron in his path. He is immensely powerful, but also incredibly lazy, so it falls to them to retrieve his precious rock. They encounter the faceless young boy again, who quietly observes that this place was meant to be one of joy, yet pain is all that remains. As they search the cliffs, they come across a vicious Nevron known as the Lamp Master, who refuses to stay down no matter how hard they fight. Eventually, they manage to put the creature to rest and recover the rock they've been seeking. When Ciel presents it to Esquier, he finally has what he needs to help them cross the sea. Before they depart, Gustave and Maelle pause to look at the monolith on the horizon. Realizing it doesn't seem so far away now, they are one step closer to their goal. Maelle jokingly suggests Gustave throw one last rock at the paintress, and as he looks for a suitable stone, the sound of a cane tapping against the ground approaches. Suddenly, the white-haired man is upon them, and Gustave is impaled, Maelle's face splattered with his blood. As Gustave collapses, he reminds Maelle of their promise, telling her to run, knowing he won't survive. Gustave looks up at the man and asks why he is doing this, but no answer comes. Using the last of his strength, Gustave channels energy through his artificial arm, striking back, but the man barely flinches, despite his advanced age. Gustave looks at Maelle one last time, whispering, "For those who come after," as he sacrifices himself in a final attempt to stop the man. The white-haired man deals the killing blow, telling Maelle that even if she doesn't understand it now, this isn't cruelty, but kindness. The white-haired man pushes Maelle out of her own body and into a strange space where she hears a man and woman arguing, the man insisting she should have stayed home. When Maelle returns to her body, the white-haired man tells her that even though none of this will make sense right now, they both only want what's best for their families. He's sorry she's caught in the middle, but he did try to warn her. Before he can finish her off, someone intervenes, stopping the killing blow. The white-haired man tells the stranger to stay out of it, insisting he chose to walk away. The stranger replies that the white-haired man has already lived a lifetime, and now it's time to let her go. But the white-haired man refuses, saying a lifetime without his family isn't enough. He wants them back. The stranger tells him that the woman in the mask is his family, and urges him to take her and leave. Helping Maelle to her feet, the stranger sends her away to rejoin the others. The white-haired man asks if he's ready to accept the consequences of the path he has set them on, and the stranger replies that she will never paint again. Back at camp, Maelle mourns Gustave's death, comforted by Esquier's gentle presence. Ciel and Lune sit together, reflecting on how every time they're together, it's to grieve. Ciel wishes they had spent more time together in brighter moments, but Lune reminds her that despite everything, the mission remains the same. They must reach the monolith and face the paintress. They may have lost Gustave and the Lumina converter, but that's a problem for tomorrow. Expedition 32 will come, and they will be better prepared. Their job now is to pave the way. The stranger arrives at camp, walking past the curator as he returns Gustave's artificial arm to the group. Ciel and Lune eye him warily, asking where he got his expedition uniform. He apologizes for not being able to save Gustave, and explains that he wears the uniform because he, too, was once an expeditioner, from Expedition 0, the very first expedition. He explains that some of them stopped aging, and became immune to the gommage, effectively becoming immortal. Lune asks if the white-haired man is one of them, and the stranger confirms it, revealing that the man is Renoir, their old commander. Renoir believes his immortality is a gift from the paintress, and that killing her would mean his own death, which is why he slaughtered their team on the beach. When Lune asks if the stranger shares that belief, he shakes his head, saying that living forever while burying everyone you love will eventually wear you down. He admits he couldn't save Gustave, but he might be able to help them now if they're willing to let him. Maelle steps forward, recognizing that if she wants to undo Renoir's immortality, she will need to kill the paintress first. She asks the stranger for his name. He looks at her, and in a voice like a whisper in the wind, he replies, Verso. Act 2. Verso. The next morning, Maelle stands at the edge of a cliff, hurling rocks at the distant monolith. Verso joins her, once again apologizing for not arriving in time to save Gustave. Before he can say anything else, Maelle cuts him off, telling him she's heard enough condolences. She asks him to leave her be. They continue their journey, this time passing through the forgotten battlefield, which is cluttered with the bodies of fallen expeditioners. Maelle clutches Gustave's artificial arm and asks if they can stop to bury him. Lune reminds her that protocol demands that they keep moving, but Verso says he knows a place nearby, a quiet haven, protected by towering trees, where Gustave would be at peace. As they come to a bridge, Maelle's composure cracks. She tells them she can't stand the constant sight of death, that everywhere they go they find the fallen. She asks Verso how we can keep going, and questions how Lune and Ciel can go on as if Gustave's death never happened. Ciel tries to steady her, starting to say, when one falls, but Maelle can't bring herself to finish the phrase. Before they make it across the bridge, a dual-wielding Nevron, the duelist, ambushes them, shattering the bridge, sending them plummeting into the darkness below. Together they fight and defeat the creature, ending its reign of terror and avenging all the expeditioners it had already claimed. As they stand in the monster's lair, surrounded by the remains of those who came before, Lune looks around and tells Maelle that this is why they must fight. They finally reach the place Verso promised, and there they bury Gustave. Maelle lays his artificial arm atop his grave, next to another grave marked as Expedition 0, where Verso had once buried someone long ago. Standing before Gustave's resting place, Maelle makes a vow that she will finish what he started, that she will make the paintress and Renoir pay for everything they've taken. She admits that they were never quite sure if Gustave was more of a father or a brother to her, but to her he was both, the best family she ever had. Through tears, she thanks him for being there for her. Back at camp, Verso tells the others that it's time to head north to find Monoko, his oldest friend. They'll need all the help they can get for what comes next. Their goal is to destroy the paintress's heart, hidden somewhere in the center of old Lumière. Without it, they can't reach the paintress, as the chroma surrounding her is too dense to pierce. Verso explains that he found the heart once before, while traveling with Expedition 58, but Renoir erased them before they could get any further. That night, Lune works on a contingency plan in case they fail. She documents everything they know, hoping to give Expedition 32 a better chance when their time comes. Ciel asks how she plans to get the information to them. Lune explains that she's enlisted the help of the Gestrals. Lune then asks Ciel what the stars are whispering tonight. But Ciel admits that it's actually she who whispers to them. She tells Lune it's something she used to do with her father. Whenever she was scared, anxious, or even happy, he told her to share it with the stars, because even when it's hard to talk about things, the stars will still listen. Lune sits with her, and they talk about their parents. About the day they met after Ciel's parents were taken by the gommage, proving that Lune's parents had failed to stop the paintress and died during their expedition. Ciel admits that the comfort Lune gave her that day meant more to her than Lune might know. But afterward, Lune disappeared into her work, determined to finish what her parents had started. Ciel says that at least now, with only a year left to live, they finally have the time to build the friendships they missed. They both agree, although they realize that making friends is thirsty work, and that they could really use some wine. Later that night, Maelle finds Verso and thanks him for taking him to such a beautiful place to lay Gustave to rest. Verso apologizes for trying to offer comfort, admitting that people give condolences because they don't know what else to say, even when there's no comfort to be found. The heaviness of it all gives way, just for a moment, as Maelle starts laughing, and Verso laughs with her. Verso asks why she joined the expedition so young, and Maelle admits that she never felt at home in Lumière. While Gustave and the others wanted to change the world, she just wanted to escape. Maelle pulls out a numbered armband, holding it in her hand. She keeps Gustave's armband for herself, but offers her old one to Verso, making him an official member of Expedition 33, the Disaster Expedition, as she has chosen to call it. At the frozen Monoko station, there's no sign of Monoko, until the eccentric Gestural leaps from the shadows, ambushing Verso to test his reflexes. Verso reacts quickly, passing the test and earning Monoko's approval. Esquier arrives soon after, and Monoko chuckles that Verso has dragged him into yet another adventure, this time with new friends. Lune is surprised to hear Monoko speaking their language, as most Gestuals communicate only in cryptic sounds. Monoko, eager to show off, ends up smacking himself in the face. Then challenges them to a duel. Verso tells the others to humor him, but warns them that Monoko's fighting style is unique, as he's able to mimic Nevron abilities. In the middle of their sparring, the tiny Noko bursts in with urgent news. Nevron has appeared at the station's entrance. Monoko, trying to save face, invites the group to deal with the creature, called a stalact, so he doesn't have to. Verso teases Monoko for his cowardice, as they head out to fight. After defeating the stalact, Monoko eagerly claims its feet, adding them to his collection to expand his strange arsenal of abilities, like a man fueled by a magical foot fetish. Verso then tells Monoko they are heading to Old Lumière and need his help. Monoko refuses at first, swearing he will never return to that place. Verso points at Maelle, asking if he truly doesn't recognize her, reminding him that this might be their only shot, Monoko interjecting that this might be Verso's only shot. Monoko sighs, agreeing to join them after Verso mentions that there will at least be plenty of fighting to keep him occupied. As the others finish chatting with Noko, the tiny Gestural announces he's coming along too, determined to become the undisputed top merchant in the world by looting the treasures of Old Lumière. Upon reaching Old Lumière, they find their path blocked. Monoko uses his Nevron-infused abilities to clear a way toward the heart at the city center. However, the force of his attack destabilizes the area, collapsing the ground beneath them and splitting the party. Lune and Ciel regain consciousness to the sound of Monoko crying alone, ashamed that his attempt to show off led to their separation. They reassure him, saying they need to find the others and continue toward the heart. Along the way, Ciel finds one of Esquier's stones, deciding to return it to him as a gift. As they travel, Ciel questions whether they can truly trust Verso. Lune admits that she doesn't fully trust him either, but for now, he's their best chance at reaching the paintress. Still, Ciel can't shake the feeling that Verso is hiding something. They discover a journal left behind by Expedition 58, one of the teams Verso once traveled with, and Lune's expression darkens as she reads it. She insists they need to find Maelle and Verso immediately. Monoko, watching quietly, says that despite whatever the journal contains, he knows Verso would never harm Maelle. Meanwhile, Maelle wakes to find Verso and Noko at her side. Verso suggests they move toward the city center to regroup, while Noko chimes in that he's hoping to find treasure along the way. As they fight through the ruins of old Lumière, Verso suddenly disappears, leaving Maelle alone. She eventually finds her way to a mysterious manor, where a faceless woman opens the door for her. At that moment, Verso rushes back from the shadows, saying he knew the woman would open the door for Maelle. But before he can enter, Renoir appears, blocking his path. The masked woman steps forward, and the door closes behind them. Renoir confronts Verso, asking how many times he plans to hurt their family. Verso fires back, saying Renoir has no right to lecture him about family. Renoir claims he's doing this for their sake, while Verso insists Renoir is only doing it for himself. Renoir says it's easier for Verso to see him as the villain, easier to keep fighting that way. As Maelle threatens Renoir, he tells her there's much she doesn't know, hinting at a truth he's kept from her. Lune and the others arrive, confronting Verso with what they discovered in the Expedition 58 logs. Renoir, the man who slaughtered their team, is Verso's father. A fierce battle erupts. Renoir unleashes a devastating attack, leaving the group stunned. As the dust settles, they find Noko's small body, broken and lifeless from the blow. Maelle charges at Renoir again, demanding answers, but Renoir simply asks why she can't accept who she is. Verso leaps between them, calling Maelle Alicia and begging her to move. The world freezes, leaving only Maelle able to move. The masked woman steps from the manor and removes her mask, revealing Maelle's own face beneath it, burned and scarred by flame. The manor catches fire, and as the masked woman returns inside, the entire structure vanishes, leaving Verso devastated. Back at camp, Askia thanks Ciel for returning the stone she found, which enables him to fly again. Lune turns to Verso, demanding answers. Verso quietly replies that he no longer sees Renoir as his father. He says that some things are private, and Ciel notes that despite everything, Verso has never led them astray. Still, they all agree that trust will be essential if they are to survive, with Maelle acknowledging that family is complicated. Monoko joins them by the fire, holding what remains of Noko. He explains that Gestrels can undergo reincarnation, but even if Noko returns, he won't be the same as before. A part of him will always be lost. Verso offers his condolences, admitting that it feels like everything they fought for was in vain. The heart of the paintress, once hidden in the manor, is now gone, and with it, their path to the monolith seems lost. Lune says that according to Expedition 58's journal, Verso might know another way into the monolith. Verso shakes his head, saying it's a dead end. But with no other options, they decide to try anyway and go meet the curator. Lune asks the curator if it's true that he can forge a weapon capable of piercing the barrier protecting the monolith. The curator nods, saying he can, if they bring him the hearts of the axons. The weapon requires an enormous amount of pure chroma, and only the axons possess it. Verso warns them that this is madness. The axons are nothing like the nevrons they fought before. They are ancient, colossal beings that roam the islands around the monolith, stronger and far more dangerous. Verso admits that despite his immortality, even he cannot take them down. Their chances of surviving such a battle are close to zero. Lune meets his gaze and replies that as expeditioners, if they die fighting. Before they depart, Maelle and Verso share a quiet moment. Maelle mentions the masked woman with Renoir and asks if she's Verso's sister. Verso nods, saying her name is Alicia. Maelle asks what happened to her, why she wears a mask and never speaks. Verso tells her that Alicia was caught in a fire long ago, leaving her face and throat scarred. Maelle asks why Alicia came to see them, and Verso admits he doesn't know. She helped him once, and he thought she would again, but it seems he's chosen a different path. Verso offers to return Maelle's expedition armband, but she refuses, saying she trusts him, strangely but truly. Gustave always believed in giving people the benefit of the doubt, and in the end, it's Verso's actions that matter. To face the first Axon, they travel to the island of Visages, the keeper of truth and lies. The island is a haunting place, covered in a sea of countless faces, each one watching silently as they pass. As they draw closer to the Axon, an emissary known as the Mask Keeper greets them, telling them to put away their weapons, assuring them that he means them no harm. He invites them to walk the island freely, saying that masks do not simply hide, they can also reveal. He cryptically tells them to look for the masks they need. When they finally confront the towering Axon, it's revealed that the Mask Keeper was Visages all along, the massive figure they had seen being just one of his many masks. The Mask Keeper speaks, telling them that everyone longs to know what lies behind the mask, but that true art is both a window and a mirror, and that everyone needs a mask. They fight the true Axon, Visages, who uses an array of masks against them. As the battle rages, Ciel steps forward, holding one of the masks in her hand. She says it can't hurt her because it is her. With determination, she rips the mask from the Mask Keeper, ending Visage and claiming his heart for their mission. They bring Visage's heart back to the curator. He asks Maelle specifically to hand it over, and as she does, she sees a flash of Renoir, though Verso tries to brush it off with a small, reassuring joke. Later, Maelle sits beside Esquier, and Verso joins them, asking if it's alright for him to play for a bit. Using his pictos, he manifests a piano and begins to play a soft, haunting melody. Maelle sits beside him, humming along, and Esquier dances majestically, the moment lightening the heavy air. Maelle tells Verso the song feels familiar. Verso explains that it's an old tune he used to play for his sister. She asks him to play another, and he smiles softly, telling her that they've got all night. Their next destination is the island of Sirene, the Axon known as She Who Plays with Wonder. As they arrive, Sirene's song envelops them, pulling them into a trance of dreams and illusions. Monoko warns them to focus, reminding them of why they've come, helping them snap out of Sirene's enchantment. Sirene tests them by revealing visions of what each of them desires most. For Lune, it's her parents. For Maelle, it's Gustave. For Ciel, it's her husband and child. For Monoko, it's Noko. When she examines Verso, however, no illusion appears. They fight Sirene, and as she tries to pull them back into her illusions, she calls Lune forward, beckoning her to come closer and raising her to face her directly. Lune uses the chance to release a powerful blast that pierces through Sirene's song, silencing her once and for all. They claim Sirene's heart, the second piece of what they need to forge the weapon that will open the path to the paintress. Back at the camp, the group meets the curator once more, and Maelle steps forward to hand him Sirene's heart. The world goes still as Maelle finds herself face to face with the faceless woman again. The moment is fleeting. The woman lashes out, shattering the vision. Shaken, Maelle asks the curator why she keeps seeing these visions and demands to know who he truly is. The curator says nothing. Instead, he begins forging a weapon, a sword, crafted for Maelle, capable of piercing the barrier around the monolith so that they can finally face the paintress and break the cycle once and for all. Suddenly, Ciel accuses Verso of hiding a terrible secret for them. The group tenses, but Ciel reveals the truth with a smirk. Esquier confessed that he had been filled with a stash of fine wine Verso was keeping for himself. At once, Askia begins vomiting up bottles of wine, letting the group celebrate their small victory with drinks in hand. All except Maelle, who would have preferred apple juice instead. Later that night, Alicia visits Verso, handing him a letter. Verso gently removes her mask, telling her that she doesn't need to hide behind it, that she is beautiful as she is. But the moment is interrupted when Renoir appears, telling Verso that while he may embrace Alicia now, his actions are condemning her to die. Renoir urges him to consider who truly brings death and who brings life, insisting that they exist only because Alicia allows it, and Verso is about to throw all of it away. At last, the expedition sets out for the monolith. They reach the barrier, the number 33 looming large above them. Maelle steps forward, raising her sword, and pierces the barrier, opening the way inside. Beneath the number, the gigantic paintress sits, hugging her knees. As they approach, the expedition prepares for battle, but the paintress does not react. Their attacks have no effect, and are unable to leave a mark. Maelle approaches her, and in that instant they are all pulled into a shared vision of the faceless woman. All of them except Verso and Monoko begin to burn within the vision's flames. But as the vision fades, the faceless woman leaves, allowing them to chase her into the monolith. Inside, they witness visions of the past, the paintress as a mother, a wife, a creator of worlds. They find Renoir waiting for them, telling Verso that the paintress is not the only one who grieves, that she made him bear the pain of losing his son. Renoir declares that he will not lose Verso, but Verso responds coldly, saying that the son Renoir grieves for was a stranger to him. They fight Renoir, defeating him again and again, but each time he rises immortal, just like Verso. As Renoir pins them down, the curator arrives, standing face to face with Renoir at last. Renoir tells the curator that Verso is all he has left of his son, and that destroying him won't bring his wife back, only sever the last tie between them. The curator takes Maelle's hand and guides her toward Renoir, helping her to unmake him. Renoir's last words are soft as he tells the curator that he loves them too, and then he is gone. Lune, stunned, asks Maelle how she did it. Maelle replies quietly that it was thanks to the curator, and that she thinks she can do it again. Finally, they stand before the true paintress, who is revealed to be the faceless woman herself. She looks like the curator, and they realize that she must be his wife. The paintress steps toward Verso, whispering that he has come back to her, despite the fire, wondering if he is real or just another illusion. She looks at Maelle's unburned face and calls her Alicia. Reaching out, the paintress asks Verso to come home. Verso replies softly that she needs to go, and that Verso is already gone. The paintress says they are all her creations, not her children, and she will not let them take this canvas from her. The battle begins. The paintress unleashes everything she has, flooding the world with her terrifying power. Verso calls Askia to their side, giving him Soiree, the stone that allows him to fly. Askia soars into the air, carrying the expedition as they battle the paintress in the skies, each strike fueled by the sacrifices of the expeditions that came before. At last, the paintress falls to her knees, but even as they deal the final blows, she uses the last of her power to shield them, protecting them even as they end her reign. As she takes her final breath, Verso holds her close. Maelle then steps forward, using her newfound powers to gently erase the paintress, and as her energy fades, the number 33 above the monolith vanishes in turn. Ciel steps forward, handing Maelle the Expedition 33 flag. She asks Maelle to plant it at the place where they ended the paintress's reign, so that the world will remember them and know that tomorrow comes, thanks to those who came before. Flying on Esquia's back, they return to Lumière. On the way, Ciel teases Verso, asking if he still feels immortal, and offers to test it for him. Maelle wonders aloud what they will do now that it's over, once they are home. Ciel says that now life will go on, with decades and decades stretching ahead, a thought that almost makes her feel immortal herself. Luna reminds them that while the expedition may be over, there's still much work to be done. Back in Lumière, they are met with cheers and tears as the people gather at the harbor to welcome them home. The monolith now stands silent and numberless. Even Esquier and Monoko are welcomed back, despite their odd appearances, symbols of the strange journey that led them all there. Maelle steps forward, handing Gustave's journal to his apprentices as his sister joins them. For a moment, the celebration quiets as the weight of Gustave's absence settles over them, the joy of their return edged with grief that comes with having lost him. Verso sits alone at the edge of the harbor, the sounds of celebration fading behind him, as he finally opens the letter Alicia gave him. In it, Alicia writes of her exhaustion with the endless conflict and the lies that have plagued their family. She says it's up to Verso whether to share the contents of the letter with Maelle. In words meant for Maelle, Alicia confesses how strange it feels to watch her laugh and smile with Verso, unscarred and free of the memories and pain that Alicia still carries. Maelle, she says, is who Alicia was meant to be, not this broken, painted version that remains. Alicia reveals that her family is but a facsimile of hers, in this world a mirror, painted by Maelle's mother, the paintress, in a desperate attempt to ease her grief. By killing the paintress, they have doomed this world. She was the only force holding back the true architect of the Gommage, the one responsible for the countdown of death. The numbers on the monolith were warnings, counting the few she could save each year as her strength waned. Now that she is gone, there is nothing left to stop the impending wave. As Verso reads the last lines, a rumble echoes through the air, and a wave of doom bursts from the monolith. The people of Lumière begin to disintegrate, turning into petals of red and white, carried away by the wind. The expeditioners fall one by one, fading into nothing as the wave sweeps through the city. Maelle begins to fade, standing at the harbor where they once promised to change the world, reaching out as everything around her dissolves, and then finally she too turns to nothing, leaving only the silent monolith behind. Epilogue. Alicia. In the past, in Monolith Year 49, Alicia wakes from a nightmare, flames still flickering in her mind, the image of Verso burning haunting her even as she opens her eyes. Her own face bears the scars of that fire, and when her sister Clair calls out to her, Alicia cannot answer, her voice already having been claimed by the flames. Clair asks her to come downstairs, so she hurries to a room filled with paintings, where their parents, Aline the paintress and Renoir, stand before a towering canvas. Clair explains that their parents are as stubborn as ever, locked in a stalemate within the canvas. Meanwhile, the outside world is full of conflict, as the writers threaten their existence. The balance is breaking, and Clair says there are things they must do if they wish to survive as painters. Alicia tries to say she wants to help, but Clair shakes her head. She tells Alicia that she is a liability. The writers have used her against them before, and they would not hesitate to do it again. Clair admits she cannot promise she would sacrifice herself to save Alicia the way Verso once did. But, seeing the determination in Alicia's eyes, Clair offers another path. If Alicia truly wants to help, she should enter the canvas and aid Renoir, who's needed now more than ever. Clair urges her to repaint her throat while inside, before she forgets completely what it feels like to speak. Heeding her sister's words, Alicia prepares to enter the canvas, Verso's childhood world, where he once painted Esquier and Monoko, and where their parents now wage their endless war. Before she steps through, they hide the canvas, hoping to keep their mother from finding it again if she is forced out, though Clair knows the paintress may yet discover its location. Clair tells Alicia that the only way to truly end this conflict will be to destroy the canvas entirely. and with it, the last fragment of Verso's soul that still paints, keeping this world alive. As Alicia steps into the canvas, she is intercepted by the lingering chroma of Aline, her mother's power wrapping around her. It forces Alicia to be reborn within the world of the canvas, not as herself, but as one of its creations. And so, in the fractured city of Lumière, Alicia is born anew, this time as Maelle. Act 3. Maelle. Having regained her memories as a painter, Maelle finds Verso sitting alone in the empty streets of Lumière, the city silent around them. Verso looks up and asks whether she is Alicia. Maelle shakes her head, replying that she prefers Maelle. Verso smiles, agreeing, even though they both know he's not truly Verso, and she's not truly Maelle. Maelle tells him he should have helped her remember, and Verso lowers his gaze, murmuring an apology. She apologizes too, saying that if she hadn't trusted the writers, the real Verso might still be alive, and this Verso wouldn't be caught in the middle. Maelle says her mother did something terrible, painting him into Verso's canvas and giving him his memories, while pretending the fire only took Alicia. Yet, despite it all, she's glad he exists. Verso says that Renoir was right to try to erase everything, but Maelle challenges him, asking who he was doing it for. She argues that the real Verso would never have wanted his canvas destroyed. Verso counters, saying that living in a world of make-believe was killing their mother. But Maelle insists that to her, to Maelle, they aren't make-believe. She tells him Renoir has returned, that he will help fix Lumière. Their mother painted an unkind portrait of Renoir, but Maelle knows him to be a lot warmer than the painted version Verso once knew. They find the curator in the plaza, who shifts and transforms into Renoir before their eyes. Father and daughter embrace, Renoir grateful to see Alicia safe. He tells her he had asked her to stay home, but since her body remains there, she hasn't technically broken any promises. Examining Verso, Renoir recognizes him as some of Aline's finest work, and apologizes for the pain his existence has caused him, offering him oblivion as a form of recompense. Maelle is stunned when Renoir says he still intends to destroy the canvas, but he deems it necessary as it contains a fragment of Verso's soul, and her mother will never willingly part with it. Maelle refuses, insisting that the canvas is her home now, but Renoir is firm. He will not watch his daughter wither away inside the canvas, like her mother did. Maelle pleads, saying that after the fire, so little of her life remains outside, but Renoir prepares to force her out of the canvas anyway. Before he can act, Maelle escapes with Verso, as Esquier and Monoko sweep in to rescue them. As they make their escape, Maelle gathers the remnant petals of their fallen friends, so that they can regroup and plan their next course of action. Back at camp, Maelle attempts to use her powers as a paintress to bring their friends back. Monoko encourages her, reminding her it has only been a day since she remembered who she is. Verso tells her to focus on who they were, to remember their essence. As Maelle does, the expedition is returned from oblivion. She welcomes them back, and says they have a lot to talk about, as she needs to catch them up to speed regarding the truth of their world. Lune is furious with Verso for hiding the truth, but Ciel tries to look at the bright side, realizing that if Maelle can truly wield this power, she could restore everyone in Lumière. But to do that, she will need chroma, which is currently controlled by Renoir, as he has control of the canvas. Lune suggests they gather chroma from the bodies of fallen expeditioners, remembering Gustave's words that the chroma lingers in those killed by Nevrons. Maelle explains it isn't pure enough for resurrection, but it can still be useful. Together they travel across the world, visiting the places they had already been, awakening an army of fallen expeditioners who rise as phantoms to join them in their hour of need. When they return to Old Lumière, Maelle calls upon these spirits, and they rise to fight by their side as they storm the city. At the foot of the crooked tower, Maelle confronts Renoir again, trying to explain what the canvas means to her. Renoir tells her he understands all too well. The power of a world you've poured your heart into, the way it pulls you in, how hard it is to let go. He admits it nearly killed him once, but he insists that the real world will get better, even if she can't see it now, and he's willing to make the hard choice for her, even if it means she will hate him. He won't let the shadow of the worst day of their lives claim her too. Words fail, and they are forced into battle once more. Renoir transforms back into the curator, summoning the axons to his side, as he regenerates before their very eyes. Just when all hope seems lost, Aline returns to the canvas, risking her life to take care of the axons, giving them a chance to defeat Renoir. As Renoir falls, he reflects on the irony. Aline was the one who once saved him from losing himself inside a canvas, who taught him how to use their gifts without losing himself. Together they had painted countless worlds, pushing the boundaries of creation. But she never let him forget that every day spent there came at a price. Now she fights him, while he is the one honoring what she once taught. Maelle tells Renoir that destroying the canvas won't help them move on. But Renoir explains why he spent 67 years trapped inside the monolith, as he was forced to watch Aline suffer in the real world every day. Their family shattered since the fire. Aline trapped in the canvas, Clair fighting a solitary war, and Maelle a living ghost. Maelle tells him she understands that she feels the same way about the people within the canvas, and that she cannot let them go. She promises she won't stay forever, just a little longer, and asks for his trust. Renoir hesitates, telling her he will leave the light on for her. As Renoir leaves, Verso turns to Maelle, apologizes, and leaps into the rift within the canvas. There he meets the last fragment of Verso's soul, the boy who continues to paint, keeping the canvas alive. Verso asks the boy whether he is tired of painting, and as he nods in agreement, Verso says that he is tired too. Maelle arrives, confused that Verso is able to be there, but he tells her it's a gift from their mother. Verso accuses Maelle of lying to Renoir, saying that even though Renoir wanted to believe her, he saw the truth. Verso insists that living like this isn't truly living, but Maelle fires back that in the real world she's a prisoner in a broken body, voiceless and alone. In the canvas, she can live. Verso tries to convince the boy to stop painting, but Maelle steps forward, forcing them apart. Words again fail them, and as silence falls, Maelle and Verso are forced to fight to decide the very fate of the canvas. In one version of events, Maelle emerges victorious. As Verso fades, he begs her to stop the boy from painting, to let him go. Maelle, tears in her eyes, whispers that she wants to live this stolen lifetime together, the one taken from them. And as Verso vanishes, he begs her to unpaint him, but Maelle refuses, clinging onto her dream for the future. She wonders if he had been allowed to grow old, could he have found a reason to smile? Epilogue: A Life to Paint. Using her powers, Maelle breathes life back into Lumière. One by one, the people return, gathering in the soft glow of the opera house lights. She stands among them, holding the hand of a young boy, surrounded by the faces of those she fought so hard to save. Even Gustave and Sophie, alive and smiling once more. As the orchestra quiets, the lights dim, and the performance begins. Verso steps onto the stage, standing before a grand piano. He hesitates, his hands hovering over the keys, a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes, as the audience watches him in expectant silence. Among the crowd, Maelle smiles softly, but the moment is tinged with unease. She can't escape it. The same paint-borne sickness that once claimed her mother, creeping along the edges of her vision, signaling that every masterpiece comes at a cost. Epilogue, A Life to Love. In another version of events, it is Verso who emerges victorious. As Maelle begins to fade, she reaches for him, pleading for him not to leave her again. Verso gently holds her, whispering that everything will be alright. He tells her that she has an incredible gift, the power to paint her own world, and that she will never have to suffer a life she doesn't want. As she disappears, Verso turns and finds Esquier and Monoko waiting for him. They embrace one another, and Verso says that he'll miss them. Then they vanish, leaving Verso standing alone. Ciel appears next. Their eyes meet, and for a moment, neither speaks. Then Ciel fades. Lune then steps forward, sitting down, the last member of the expedition no longer standing, their battle over. Verso turns to the young boy as he continues to paint. Together they step away, leaving the canvas behind as they face oblivion hand in hand. In the real world, the Descendre family stands in a quiet cemetery, flowers in hand, gathered around Verso's grave to say their final goodbyes. As they mourn, Maelle looks up, and for a fleeting moment, she sees her friends from the canvas: Gustave, Ciel, Lune, Esquier, Monoko, and even Maelle, waving to her from beyond, smiling softly. And then, she is alone. And so ends the story of Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Sure was a great one. If you enjoyed this journey, consider leaving a like or sharing the video with a friend who might need a reminder that tomorrow comes. And if you want to support what we do, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching, and for being a part of our expedition. Until the next time, caca! Alright.